Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Teresa Lawrence, the President and Executive Director of the Trueness Project, and I want to share with you my upcoming events. We have the Grand Butterfly Gathering happening on Saturday, June 28th in Jackson, Wyoming, and virtually worldwide, and I'm inviting you all to participate because it is a joyous community building event where we're all going to go for a world record of the largest gathering of people dressed as butterflies in history. My nonprofit, the Trueness Project, is all about storytelling, and what better story is there in this universe than the transformational story of the butterfly? That beautiful being literally dissolves in the cocoon and turns into something spectacular with wings. And I believe that's our personal story. And today, I want to share with you that I have somebody that believes as I do and is truly aligned with the vision of the Trueness Project. She is all about authenticity and self-reflection and being her true, authentic self. Our guest today is Hilary Arnow Burns, and I'm just going to read a short bio and introduce you to her fabulous self. Hilary Arnow Burns grew up in Westport, Connecticut. She graduated from the Wharton Business School at the University of Pennsylvania in 1981. She spent over 30 years as a business consultant to companies all over the world. Her best accomplishment is having raised her two remarkable children. Yes, that's beautiful. Hilary has published 3 books, is the host of the Getting Real with Hilary show on E360 TV, has a YouTube channel and TikTok following, and a website, gettingrealwithhilary.com. Her vision is that we all elevate the conversation and consciousness of the world together. Isn't that beautiful? It matches perfectly with the mission of the Trueness Project. And with that, welcome, Hilary Burns.
Hello, thank you, Teresa. It's so great to see you.
We always have so much fun together. I just have to share with the audience. Last year, when I was doing the butterfly event, Hilary was gracious enough to have me on her podcast. And I wasn't used to doing these. And the next thing I know, she's got like butterfly things everywhere.
I did.
She
By
was
the
like a
end, I had them
walking,
all over.
she was like a walking billboard for the event. So I have to thank her for that.
Yes.
And with that, Hilary, could you please share with the audience, your background? How did this all begin? Where, you started at Wharton. Wharton is a kick-ass competitive school. It's incredibly difficult to get into that school. And that mindset is not a touchy-feely, let's get real with Hilary. I just don't see that from the background. It's just like, what happened here?
So, well, yeah. So I was actually at the University of Pennsylvania. I didn't like writing papers, and so I transferred into the business school. One of the best moves I ever made for the wrong reasons, but maybe they were the right reasons. So anyway, so I graduated from there and I went down to Washington, D.C., and I did some consulting. One of the best times was working in Germany for the U.S. Army in Heidelberg. We were working on a resource management system, so that was really fun. And then I transferred back up to New York to be closer to home, ended up working on Wall Street. And I had a great time, really a great time. Then
So
I got married.
I have to interrupt because my first job was at 26 Broadway. It was near Wall Street.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, everybody knows the Wall Street Bull, right? That was the building in front of us. So what was your favorite part about that part of your life, working on Wall Street? I mean, was it the bars? Was it
It was like high school with,
Chinatown? What was
yeah, it was
it?
like high school with money. I mean, I was working at
I've
Drexel
never heard
Burnham.
that.
No, we had so much fun. I mean, I had been, at an accounting firm before that in Washington, and then I transferred up to New York. It was one of the big 8 back then. And, It was not high school with money. It was good. I loved Germany, but it was pretty. I mean, the people were older. They just weren't my friends. When I got down to Drexel Burnham, I got recruited away by an ex Wharton and Arthur Young guy. So, he recruited me. And I went down there the week that Ivan Boesky got arrested was when I went. So I got there for the beginning of the end. But it was still, I was there for 3.5 years until Drexel went bankrupt. And, everyone was young. We were making money. We would go out every night, and it was just a blast. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. There were five of us. We called ourselves the Fabulous Babes. And, we were,
Oh, so all women, fabulous babes?
yeah, five. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And we just had so much fun. We just did.
Okay, so from there, the company
I'm
goes
I'm now
bankrupt.
gone. I'm
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in
yeah, you're like,
yeah,
it's
okay,
like you
come
could
back.
tell you
Come back.
enjoyed that part of your life immensely.
Yeah, we had fun. So then when Drexel went bankrupt, I ended up working at a law firm. That was where I got a job. I was making more money than my friend, so it took me a little while. It was frightening. It was probably the first time that I was never jobless, but I felt like I was homeless. Like I literally was that terrified. So when I got my job, I stayed there, even though I never liked it for 5 years, ended up getting married and then moving to Connecticut where I grew up and having two kids. So at that point, sometimes you're fun and you're fearless, right? I was fun and fearless. And after that, I'll tell you, I w- I got a little cautious, I got a little bit about safety, you know what I mean?
So,
Like
so,
things
so
change.
when you say you got scared and you felt homeless, so the company goes out of business. And for everybody that's listening, it was a time where Drexel went down and like everybody was scared, like who's gonna drop next? And and so your mindset went from, hey, I'm thriving, this is fun, the five babes, whatever,
Yeah.
to how am I going to support myself? And you end up at this law firm and you took a job because you needed the job. I imagine that you may not do that. Like if something like that happened now, that wouldn't happen. You'd figure out something that you'd love to do.
Right. Well, yeah, and they promised me one thing, and when I got there, it was different. And I was like, hey, you said I was going here. Well, too bad. So it was kind of like I was sold a bill of goods. I didn't think I was taking a job I wouldn't like, but I stayed there for 5 years, even though I was never really happy. I mean, I made the best of it. Found some transformational programs and, I made the best of it. But I was not the carefree person that I had been before that.
And did you take time off when you had your kids?
Yeah, so I left when I got married. I moved to back to Westport, believe it or not. We had this beautiful rental on the water, and I worked until, let's see, we got married in August 28th, and I worked until mid-January when I started my own coaching business. So I left. I left there. That was my plan. I worked with a coach and I said, this is when I'll leave, and I did, and I had a successful coaching business for a month. And then And then they, and then the people, I was good. So after 3 months, they would leave. And I was like, now what? So it never really, and then I was pregnant and it was harder to get, when I was working, I was trying to get clients. So it was like a full-time thing. But once I went through my whole Rolodex, and at that time it was early 90s. People here in Connecticut hadn't really heard of coaching. In New York, it was a bunch of people who that was normal because we were doing the same programs. But when I got here, it was a little bit difficult. So I ended up letting that go once I got pregnant.
So what I enjoyed hearing from what you just said is that you coached your clients, they did well, and then they moved on. And that's the whole point of coaching, because there are coaching programs that you just stay on forever, you
Right.
know? And sometimes that's great, if you're still growing, but other times you're just holding on to the past, so you're just limiting yourself. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so good that I got myself out of a job, but and I know I am good. I just didn't really like the marketing type part because I
Mhm.
knew that it was never going to get big because of the nature of it. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? You work so hard to get a client and then in 3 months they're done and you're like, oh, now what?
Mhm.
Right? So,
Well, it's all a learning curve on how we do
yeah,
that. And
yes.
so you had your children, and then what happened? Because you say that was your greatest gift to the world, your children. I'm sure you enjoyed that phase. And then what happened?
Well, what happened? What happened was I had gained some weight, let's just say, and I thought my only problem was the weight gain. So I just knew that if I got thin, I would be happy again, you know? And so when I started losing weight and I realized, oh, like I'm feeling some things that I haven't felt for a long time, like sadness or anger or what frustration. And I realized I had been numbing myself. And when I couldn't say, and then I realized, I had this
So
very
you were
thin friend.
numbing yourself with food?
Food, yeah, like I'd be good all week, and then come Friday night, it'd be like, all right, let's go out for margaritas and nachos or burgers and beer or whatever. And I was good during the week because I always had hope, but by Friday it was like still the same. It wasn't even conscious. All I knew was I wanted to have something, that wasn't weight loss oriented. Do you know what I mean? So I would, and I didn't see it until later that I was numbing. Do you know what I mean? I thought the weight was the problem, and once I fixed it, that was it. But when I got thin, I was like, wow, I am not happy here. And it
Isn't
wasn't
that always the case? Like you can't see what is wrong unless you move to a higher level. So that's where you were. This is
yeah.
no, I want the audience to know that, there are so many women that just go through the motions of life and they never reflect on what they're
Mm.
feeling or what's going on with them. And with that moment, before we move on with Hilary, it's time for a commercial break. So
All
when we
righty.
come
Well,
back, we're going to figure out what happens next.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.